we're gonna do the first Twilight book, and then if this does like really well, or I feel like I really want to, I will make more. So, quick little backstory before we really get into it. I think that Twilight is the dumbest thing on the planet. Like vampires, werewolves, let's be real. I also cannot deny the cultural and emotional impact that that story has had on me. So like, I read it at a point in time in my life where I was very sort of unstable, and I just latched onto it. So now Twilight is my comfort series. People will be like, what's like the books that you read when you're all down and sad? And I'm like, gosh, I hate to tell you this, but it's Twilight. So today we're gonna talk about Twilight. Even though I do think it's goofy and I do think it's silly, I do love watching the movies because I watch them as a comedy instead of taking them seriously. But let's get started. So we start out Arizona, right? Bella Swan. I never gave much thought to how I was going to die, but dying in the place of someone I loved, that's a pretty good way to go. If that's what it says, I don't know. That's from memory. But Bella Swan, our main character, she's the protagonist here. She is living with her mom, Renee, in Arizona, but Renee just got married to a new guy, right? And they're moving to Florida. So Bella is gonna move and go live with her dad, Charlie, in Forks, Washington. So she takes her little cactus with her, and she flies into Forks, a city under near constant cover of clouds and rain. Alright? She gets to Forks, and she's kind of like, she doesn't have the greatest relationship with her dad because she just like doesn't see him very much. So she's basically living with a stranger that she doesn't really know. And they get to the house and they go in. You know, she gets all set up, she gets all ready. He got purple for her because, you know, yeah, purple's cool. And pretty much immediately, Billy Black and Jacob Black show up, right? What are they doing here? So they're part of a local native tribe. Also, would quickly like to say that it is so crappy of Stephanie Meyer to basically use a local native tribe in her books, not give them any royalties. Also, just like, why? Because they're real people. Like the Quileute tribe is a real group of people in Forks, Washington, and she just didn't need to do that. But I'm still gonna talk about it, even though I just wanted to put out there that like I very much denounce that she did that. Not that my denunciation does anything, but that's just not chill of her, and she shouldn't have done that. And also, why are we... Anyways, that's a whole rant for a different day. But Jacob Black and Billy Black are there. They go out. Billy's in a wheelchair, but he's best buds with Charlie. And Jacob and Bella used to make mud pies and stuff when they were little. And they show up with this red truck. And Bella finds out that this red truck is her homecoming present. And she is so excited because, like, it's a little beat up and it's a little old, but she loves it. And, you know, you've got to pump the clutch. You got to double pump the clutch to get it going. But it's great for her. And Jacob's there. She's like, do you need a ride to school? And Jacob's like, actually, I go to school on the reservation. And she's like, ooh, forgot about that. Anywho, so she gets ready. She goes to school the next day, as one does. And she's sitting down at lunch with all of her buddies. She gets there to school, and she's kind of like big news. It's a small town. New people don't really come to this small town, but she's like front page of the school newspaper material because Isabella Swan just showed up to Forks High School. And she's telling everybody, she's like, no, it's fine, call me Bella. But she's also kind of really awkward about it. And she meets some new people. So she meets Jessica and Mike and Eric and all these different guys. And Angela. Angela's great. We love Angela. Jessica's a little two-faced, but Angela's great. And they all eat lunch together. And guess who shows up at lunch? You're never gonna believe it. The Cullens. Now, who are the Cullens, you might be asking? Now, that's exactly what Bella asked everyone at her lunch table. And Jessica explained to her that the Cullens are a family that lived So he's like, really? I thought you would, that sucks for you. Why didn't you just stay in Florida or stay in Arizona? And then she talks about like how her mom was marrying someone new, and they're leaving, and they're kind of walking through the hallways, and she's like, that's weird, your eyes are brown, like they're, I swear they were dark the last time I saw you, like pitch black. And he's like, sorry, must be the fluorescence, buddy. And he hightails it out of there. Oh gosh, what happens next? Okay, so Bella is still friends with Jacob, but like not a lot. Jacob doesn't do much in this book. They don't hang out a lot. They're just kind of like casual buddies. I think the next big thing that happens is, well, someone dies. They're killed like outside of Forks. It's not near Forks. Like some sort of animal attack happens outside of Forks. But that's gonna be important later. The next day, it's snowy out, so Charlie puts like chains on Bella's tires so that she can get through the snow. And she drives to school. Everything's cool. Everything's great. She gets out of the car. Oh no, everything's not cool and great. She almost gets hit by a car. Because this guy is driving into school and the ground is snowy and he just like almost hits her. Eddie boy is watching from across the parking lot and he's like, Bella, no. So he hightails it over there really fast, like almost like he's a vampire or something. And he stops the car with his hand, puts a dent in that sucker. And Bella's all like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that just happened. And Edward's like, oh, I gotta get out of here. So they go to the doctor. Obviously he's taken to a hospital. And guess who's there? Dr. Carlisle Cullen. He's the head doctor. And they're talking and stuff, and she sees Edward and Carlisle and Rosalie talking, and Rosalie's all like, this is not good for the family, you need to think more before you do stuff. Next time you should have just let her die. That's not like exactly what she said, but that's pretty close. And Bella's like, come here, Eddie, can I talk to you? And she's like, I saw you. You were across that parking lot from me. There is no way you could have gotten there that fast. And he's like, you're actually insane. She's like, no, I am not. I know what I saw. And he's like, okay, but like, it's your word against mine. So, who are they gonna believe here? Gaslighting king. Good for him. So anyway, that's our first premonition that Buddy is a little whack. They go on, well, they don't go on a field trip in the books, but in the movies they go on a fun little field trip. And Bella's kind of weirded out right now. She's like, what is going on? And she starts to be kind of more friends with Edward. He's like, I shouldn't be near you, but I want to be near you because we're buddies. And she goes to hang out with Jacob and some of her buddies at the Push, which is like a local beach, but it's on the reservation. And while they're there, Jacob tells her this big long story about how there are these people in their legends called the Cold Ones who were here a long time ago, and basically vampires. And Bella's all like, that is really whack, that sounds a lot like Edward, but she doesn't say it out loud. And she goes home and she does a bunch of research, and she's like, yeah, that's Edward, I think, but I want to get this book that's gonna confirm that it's Edward, but the only place I can get it to do some research is Port Angeles, which is a city kind of near Seattle. It's in Washington, it's near Forks, but it's a bit of a drive. So her friends are going to Port Angeles to go prom dress shopping. She's like, hey guys, can I like go along with you? I need to go find a book in Port Angeles. And they're like, yeah, sure, great plan. So they go, and she goes off on her own to go find the book, but as she's walking back, there are these creepy dudes that are following her. Men, am I right? Anyways, sorry, that was not a general statement. That was, anywho, but she's walking back, she's being followed by these creepy guys, and because he's like, why can't I read her mind? I can read everyone else's, even the other vampires. Why not hers? So they're on the drive home, and they're just kind of talking, they're chatting it up. They both reach to adjust the temperature. His hand, ice cold. Ice cold. She's like, oh, no buddy, that's suspicious. So she gets home that night, she like finishes up her research. She's like, yeah, I know what he is. I know what he is. So they go to school the next day. She walks into the woods. He follows her. They have a little chat. Edward's a vampire. Edward's a vampire. And he goes on this whole tangent. He's like you could outrun me. Like, you could overpower me. I'm a vampire, Bella. We shouldn't be friends. Because he's dramatic. He's just a little drama king. And Bella's all like, alright, buddy. And then he steps into the sun. And he sparkles. He's like, this is the skin of a killer, Bella. A killer. Everything about me is designed to draw you in. And Bella's just kind of chill with it. He's really dramatic, and she's just like, alright. Which is kind of a recurring theme in the series, actually. So after that, they kind of start dating. Because Bella has no self-preservation instincts, and Edward is down bad. Anyways, so they start dating. And a bunch of, like, just dating stuff. They philosophize about being a lion and a lamb in a meadow, and then, anyways, we're gonna skip all the mushy-wishy stuff, because it doesn't really matter. And Edward takes Bella to meet his family, and they made Italian, because her name is Bella, but Edward ruins it by saying she already ate, and that pisses Rosalie off, because Rosalie sees Bella as like a threat to the family secret, right? Like, why are we having a human around when one of us could kill her at any minute because we're thirsty? And Edward's like, you know what, Rosalie, get over yourself. And they kind of hang, and everything's chill, and then they play baseball. Now let me tell you, this is the greatest scene in cinematic history, okay? So they're out in the field. Supermassive Black Hole by Muse starts playing. Alice Cullen, best pitcher in the history of pitchers, alright? She is killing it. They're killing it. Everyone is having a great time. But remember those mysterious incidents that were happening around Forks that I told you about earlier? Yeah, some other vampires show up, but they're not cool vegetarian vampires like these guys. They're human-eating vampires, and that's not cool. So they try to get Bella out of there. Like, Bella, we need to protect you because they're gonna try to eat you. And one of them, James, is like, yeah, she looks like a snack. Anyways, so Edward freaks out, and he's like, I can see what he was thinking about you. He's gonna track you. He's gonna hunt you down. He's a tracker. We've gotta get you safe, Bella. So they take Bella, and they send Bella to like a motel with Jasper and Alice, because Alice can see the future. I probably should have mentioned that before. And Edward and Rosalie and Carlisle and Renee and Esme are all like trying to distract the tracker from being on Bella's scent. Sorry, that's my puppy. And while they're doing that, it's like, I don't know, she's there, and Alice gets this vision, right? This really bad vision, and she's like, oh my gosh, a ballet studio. There's a ballet studio, and Bella's getting like absolutely dog water, or like James is in this ballet studio, right? And Bella gets a call. You'll never guess who it is. James. It's James. So, James is like, I have your mom. I've got your mom. Come to this ballet studio, or your mom gets it. She's like, oh darn. Guess I gotta get to the ballet studio. So she does, and she walks in. It's not her mom. It's a recording of their family videos. She's like, oh gosh, I got bamboozled. But James is like, oh, well, oopsie doodles. Time for you to... So, James does his absolute best to get rid of Bella, and Bella, he can't get her. He's having his fun. And Edward and all of his buddies get there because, of course, they found out where she was. Anywho, and James jumps at her and bites her. This is bad. Because she's gonna have to go through like days of extreme pain to become a vampire, and Eddie Boy doesn't want his fragile, cute little She wakes up in a hospital room and Edward's all like, I'm bad for you, Bella. And Bella's like, I literally don't care, just don't leave. Just don't leave. And then the book kind of ends, but guess what Edward does in the next book? You're never gonna guess. He leaves. Anywho, so that is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I hope you enjoyed. If this does well, or if you guys want it, or if you thought it was funny, or if you thought it was relaxing, or if